there, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios, Kokomlemle in Accra, at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telesol 4G, Just a Touch, and UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, Digibank. Let's go. In this edition, Greater Accra Regional Police Command arrests one Nigerian and begins manhunt for 3 other suspects who attempted to kidnap a 4-year-old boy in Mamobi here in Accra.
They came here early in the morning. They first went to Nima, but they couldn't succeed. And they rushed to this area. He was trying to kidnap that 4-year-old boy, but he couldn't succeed.
We're live in the community. Accra High Court gives green light to Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu to prosecute Boko Central MP as it dismisses applications filed by the legislator. We have details as Mr. Ayaraga is granted 100,000 Ghana Cedi self-recognizance bail. Residents of Kwekrom in the Central region struggle to access healthcare services after the only health facility under construction in the town was abandoned.
My water broke around 1 a.m. My family had to call a taxi driver from the next town to transport us to Winneba.
We'll hear from the residents as well as former President Mahama as he appeals to the Akufo-Addo administration to complete the abandoned projects. And another day of heated competition in the National Science and Maths quiz at the University of Ghana. We hear from the coach of West African Senior High School about his team's resolve to win this year's competition.
Prior to the contest, I've met Peters and I defeated him twice at the Eastern Media contest. So Peters wasn't a match for me.
We have all that and more coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apo. And the Greater Accra Regional Police Command has arrested a Nigerian man who was caught by residents of Mamobi last weekend allegedly attempting to steal a 4-year-old boy. It took the vigilance of some residents of Mamobi here in Accra to foil his attempt to steal that 4-year-old. The police has meanwhile begun a manhunt for 3 other suspects involved in the case. Residents say the suspect tried dragging the boy into a black Corolla in the early hours of Sunday. One of them spoke to my colleague Matilda Bamaga.
Instant justice is against our constitution, so they shouldn't do that. We should try to arrest the person. Maybe there's more information that the police people can gather and use it as evidence.
So they wanted to kill this?
They wanted to kill the person.
Okay.
Actually, in fact, it's almost about end of his life. So I try to talk to the more people or the area people that they should stop doing that so that we can get more information on this matter.
So what did you gather from the man after you rescued him?
Well, what he told me is that he's a Nigerian and they came here early in the morning. They first went to Nima, but they couldn't succeed and they rushed to this area and he was trying to kidnap that 4-year-old boy. But very unfortunate, he couldn't succeed. That's what he told me. But they came with Toyota Corolla, black color, a number of 3 people, including himself, making 4. And that was the mission that they were here, just to kidnap the boy, but they couldn't succeed. And I asked him to tell me all the people that involved. He should mention their name for me. What he said that he told me is that he can't mention their name now because when we delay, they will kill him. So I should take him to the police station.
So that was when you handed him over to the police?
Yes. So when we go to the police station, I handed him over to the police for further investigation to continue.
A resident there interacting with my colleague Matilda Bamaga. She's just returned from the community and joins us in the studio. Matilda, you've spoken to the residents. We heard one of them. What other information have you gathered on what took place on Sunday?
Exactly, MFR. So this 4-year-old boy was being prepared by his mom to go to the mosque. So that was around 6:40 a.m. according to the uncle of the 4-year-old boy. And he stepped out of the house to check on his other friends who were in the neighborhood so they could prepare and move together. It was when one resident said he saw the young boy interacting with this suspect. So he realized that the boy was holding the man's phone. The man had given his phone to the boy so he could play games. But the boy was said he doesn't want to play games because the man had told him earlier that his mom was waiting for him in the black Corolla. As to whether they saw the car, they can't say they saw it. But it was then that the resident questioned one woman who sells porridge just by the roadside whether they knew the suspect and the 4-year-old boy. So the cocoa seller said he knows the 4-year-old boy. He lives just around this place, but the suspect, she doesn't know of him, and she saw him trying to move the boy into the car. It was then that they raised alarm. So when they raised alarm, thief, the suspect also raised alarm, thief. So people got confused, and they actually went ahead going to attack the one who raised the alarm. It was then they realized that it was the other guy who was raising the issue. So we can listen to the uncle of the boy.
What people said or what people told us is the same thing the kid, informed. So we later came back after we finished with the policemen. We later came back, and then the policemen said they will continue doing the investigation until they get the right, information or full information. So we should come back home, and then we can continue visiting the police station to know the update of the case.
So the suspect ended up at the Nima police station at the end of it all.
They had to send him to the hospital initially because the residents beat him up. Yes, they gave him a beating of his life. And so I've been speaking to ACP Abraham McQuay, and he says the suspect has denied everything that the residents leveled against him.
Well, we have gathered that this suspect is being a bit dodgy. He is trying to distance himself from the alleged attempted child stealing because he's claiming alibi. He said he wasn't anywhere near where the child was, and that he went to buy something, and then the people shouted "Julo Julo." So we are still yet to go to the ground and then verify.
Has he given any information exactly what he was doing in that area?
He said he has been staying at that place for the past 8 months.
Nobody knows him in the neighborhood?
Or some of them have come to confirm that they know him in the neighborhood, about 2 people. Yes, and our people have also been asked to go to the very house that he is living.
This neighborhood, is it the same as Mamobi Polyclinic, that area?
It's a little far away from Mamobi. So I was even asking him that when he was running, how come he didn't go to his house but rather went and hid somewhere? And he said that, yes, his house is far away from that place. So, but if we have gotten 2 people, one guy has been arrested. When they went to conduct a search, they saw another person. So the person has confirmed that he lives there. He has confirmed he lives there. And one other person has also come to corroborate it.
So what are you going to do next? Looking at how the stories look disjointed.
Yes. The stories are disjointed, but we will be able to piece the pieces together. What we intend doing is that we are trying to follow all the clues that we have. Yes. The eyewitness story is there. We are following up on that, and then his story is also there. So we are following up, and then you merge, and then you see who is telling us it.
Now, Matilda, just before I let you off, you've been interacting with a 4-year-old as well, thankfully. How is he doing?
He's doing okay. His mom told me that they'll be going to the hospital to check on him because he was a bit shaken with what had happened. I spoke with him. All he could say was that the man tried taking me away. That's all he said. But we'll be bringing details of that on the Pulse on Joy News.
Thank you very much, Matilda. Meanwhile, the National Peace Council is urging government to provide what it describes as modern and sophisticated equipment to enable police counter emerging crime trends. Right Reverend Christopher Nyako Andam is the Shanti Regional Chairman of the National Peace Council. He says the commitment and professionalism exhibited by police in Kumasi in the rescue of an Indian businessman and lately the 2 Canadian ladies gives hope that Takrady girls will be found.
It means that our security is alert and they will be able to help us when we get into such situations. All over the world, it's difficult even to have a country who will not experience these things. But the difference is when it comes, what are our securities able to do? And that is important. So I will pray that the government will resource our securities in such a way that first and foremost, they will be able to prevent it because prevention is better than cure. But should it happen, then the security agencies should be capable, of delivering on their mandate by ensuring that such people we are able to save them so that it doesn't cause life.
You heard there the Ashanti Regional Chair of the National Peace Council. You're still listening to the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's do some other stories now, because the Electoral Commission has begun the nationwide limited registration exercise to capture names of prospective voters who've turned 18 or persons whose details have not been captured in the electoral roll. It forms part of the Commission's preparations towards the conduct of the 2019 district level election of Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives. My colleague Parker Wilson has been on the ground and has been interacting with some agents who say they are confused about who should be allowed to register.
So far, we started in the morning, and then when we came here, I was here around 6 a.m. When I came here, nobody was here. And then the process started. We go to the gate, the tag is given to you, then you come and queue. And then for some time, we realized that people started passing people to the place. And when people come along to their demeanor, you see them, you cannot identify whether the person is living, you cannot even tell whether the person is coming from the area.
So you have a challenge identifying that this individual comes from the constituency or within the constituency?
Yes, you cannot tell.
See.
Yes, that has been a challenge, a serious challenge. I think that if the process has been done at the various polling stations, those people in that particular area will be able to identify whether the people are coming from that place or not. But with this one, we cannot tell whether they are passing them from different area to our constituency or whatever. We cannot tell.
But who are passing these individuals? I mean,
no, you see, since the thing is being done here, everybody is trying to bring their members to the place.
You have an agent interacting with my colleague Parker Wilson. We'll go live to him shortly. But my colleague Roland Walker earlier visited some centres and interacted with some EC officials on that as well.
Now, if somebody would need to come, I'm interested. I don't or have not partaken in this before. Or do I need documents or somebody to come and guarantee for me, etc.?
You need forms of identification. It could be a passport, a driver's license, an NIA card, an old voter ID card, or as if you don't have any of such, in order for you to be able to go through the registration process. The guarantors should be registered voters.
Great. But if, let's say, I misplace my ID card, is this an opportunity for me to come and do an update?
No, we have halted. The person cannot come within this period from this 17th day of June to the 7th of July, but days afterwards, the person can come in for replacement. And we want to advise all those who are registered but have misplaced their cards or some way, somehow have their cards defaced to hold on.
Now, let's go live and speak to my colleague Parker Wilson. He's visited a number of centres and joins us on the line. So, Parker, which areas have you been to and what's been the situation so far?
Okay, so I've been to 5 district offices so far, and let me say that these 5 district offices have been created at the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. So when you get to the Electoral Commission, the first thing you see are canopies with the inscription, I also West Wuogon, North, East, South, and then West, including Klote Kole constituency. So if an applicant and you get here, they ask you where you're coming from. If you mention the name of the constituency, then they direct you to your center where you are expected to register. And quite a number of individuals are here at the moment because 5 district officers all have been merged here at the electoral headquarters of the EC office. And I do understand that the process has been slow because they're not using one aspect of the registration process, which is the voter management system that is according to the electoral officials here, because that system is connected to the national database, and because of network challenges, they have decided to resort to the biometric voter register, which is being used to register the applicants.
But interacting with some agents, it looks like there's some confusion for them. What really is their confusion in this matter?
If I come again,
I was asking about your interaction with the agents and their concerns about not knowing who qualifies to be registered and all. Where is that confusion coming from?
Right. So MFA for them, it's been difficult identifying the applicants within their constituencies because it is not within the electoral area. So it's a bit of a challenge for them. And again, because they cited the example of also West Wagon, where the applicants are coming from far away East Lagos, so they're supposed to bus them to this place. It is also a challenge for these party agents. I asked them whether they have raised these concerns with the electoral officials. They tell me that no, because today is the first day. They want to monitor the process for a while, and when they are done, they'll put together their report and then present their concerns to the electoral officials.
And just before I let you off, Parker, the EC was scheduled to address the media this morning. What's happened to that, and is it going to happen?
Yes, we were told that they were going to brief us on this ongoing exercise, but when we go here, we've been told by the PRO that it's been postponed and rescheduled to 2, and the reason she gave was that the commissioners are still gathering their facts, gathering their information so that they can brief the media accordingly.
That's my colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson. Meanwhile, former President John Dramani Mahama has asked party supporters to participate in the limited registration exercise in spite of several concerns raised by the party.
It says that all those who have turned 18 years since the last registration are eligible to register. If you registered already, you don't need to go and register again because your name is on the register. But like I said, this time, despite the protest, we protested to the Electoral Commission that they should do it the way the law asks them to do it, by opening registration centers in all the electoral areas. They have refused to heed our protest, and they're going to do registration only in the district offices of the EC. So it means that people have to travel to the district office to be able to register. It makes the distance longer. It means that people must make a greater effort to be able to register. But I'm sure that if you appeal to them, a lot of them will come out and register so that they can vote in any future elections.
Former President Mahama. Now, an Accra High Court has ruled that Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu can press charges against Boko Central MP Mahama Ayariga. The court, presided over by Justice Ifia Sareboche, today dismissed 2 applications filed by lawyers for the legislator. The lawyers had argued that Mr. Amidu, who is beyond the mandatory retirement age of 65, cannot hold office as Special Prosecutor and can therefore not file charges against the MP. They also maintain the crimes alleged to have been committed by the MP cannot be prosecuted by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. But the arguments were shot down by the judge. Justice Joseph Akable was in court. He joins us on the line with more on this. So what reasons exactly did the court give for its decision?
So, first, on the point about the age of the Special Prosecutor, the court is of the opinion that there's a pending case against Mr. Amidu's eligibility at the Supreme Court, and that case has not been determined. Again, the court says even though that case has not been determined, an injunction has also not been sought for by the plaintiffs in that particular case. Neither has the court directed that Mr. Amidu should not function whilst the case remains pending. And so, as it stands, the judge says Mr. Amidu is the Special Prosecutor, duly appointed and duly sworn in, and can therefore perform the functions expected of him. On the bit about whether the crime that has been filed, the charges against the Boko Central MP are charges that the Special Prosecutor can deal with, the court held that the charges relate to corruption and corruption-related offences, and so the Special Prosecutor is empowered by the Act passed by Parliament to prosecute such crimes.
Now, Mr. Ayariga has the option to take this matter up at the Supreme Court. What did the justice say about this?
In fact, his lawyers had made a point that they have the right to exercise that of appeal. The judge says that is within their purview, and if they intend that, they can go ahead. But the point remains that, as it stands, nothing bars the court from continuing to hear that particular case, for which reason the court will proceed to hear the case.
Now, Joseph, we know there's another case against the MP relating to evasion of taxes. We understand some of the charges have been struck out. Is that the case?
Yes, so the charges relating to fraudulent evasion of tax, evasion of customs duties, and dealing in foreign exchange without license, the court struck out these charges. The judge explains that the particulars of the offences were not couched in a manner that suggests that they are corruption or corruption-related offences, for which reason the Office of the Special Prosecutor cannot prosecute these crimes. So they struck out these charges. The other accused person, you recall, Kendrick Mafu, who was charged together with the MP, was also charged with a crime of fraudulent evasion of customs duties. So that was struck out, leaving the court to discharge him. But a charge of using public office or private gains remains against Mr. Ayariga, which means that Mr. Ayariga is still standing trial in the matter relating to the evasion of tax.
And briefly tell us about the bail conditions set for the legislator.
self-recognizance bill to the tune of 100,000 cedis NFA.
That's Joseph Akable, our court correspondent. We'll take a quick break here on the Midday News. When we return, we continue the build-up to the second in our series of crimes that shook the nation, titled Scars of the Revolution.
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Let's do sports now on the Midday News, and Ridwan has the very latest.
You know, I have something I always say, this is not sports, but the science and maths quiz is on, and it looks like Chemu are cruising to victory in the first quiz ongoing. And I like the hashtag.
Later after
yeah,
the
I have the hashtag. I like the hashtag.
NSMQ enjoy.
Aha. You're smart. You know, we have to talk the Black Stars because they are in the final leg of preparations for the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. Now, the team scheduled to leave their camping base in Dubai on Thursday to Egypt, where the tournament will run from June 21 to July 19. Ghana had warm-up matches against Namibia, which they lost 1-0, and then on Saturday, it was a goalless draw with South Africa. The team's lack of goals is a major concern. Management committee member and 1971 African Football of the Year Ibrahim Sande admits Kwesi Appiah and his technical team must work on that before landing at their base in Ismaili.
Yeah, everybody is worried. And so this last minute, I believe that is where the coach will sharpen his, he will concentrate on that. He knows about it. Yes, he knows about it. So I think he will concentrate on that one, because if you look at the matches they played, not that they didn't do well, but it's only because they didn't score. Yeah. So now concentration, more of the concentrations have to be on goal scoring. And I think it's not all that difficult for him to sharpen them on this issue.
You heard Ibrahim Sande. There's more on the Black Stars preparations in the final leg at on the top of the hour with Gary Smith and the rest of the team on the Joy Sports track.
Thanks, Redwan. Now, on June 16, 1979, former head of state Ignatius Kutwe Champong and former border guards commander and Major General Edward Kweku Utuka were executed. Well, as we build up to the second in our series of crimes that shook the nation, titled Scars of the Revolution today, here's why they were killed and what the family of General Utuka went through after the demise of their father.
It's not every tree I was happy with.
Sister Elizabeth Luka would believe if they have given been tried by a lot of cotton competition.
We apologize for that. So we'll bring you that documentary later on here on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, pregnant women, the aged and disabled in Kwekrom, a community in the Gomoa East District of the Central Region, are the most affected as they are having to travel several kilometers to Winneba to access healthcare. The residents there are threatening to resist attempts by politicians if a CHIPS compound abandoned for the past 4 years is not fixed immediately to cater for their health. From Kwekrom, Henry Kwesibedu reports.
Dorothy Adu and Mary Otto both went into labor one midnight. A taxi in the nearby village was their savior, as there was no vehicle around to send them to hospital. They traveled on a terribly bumpy road over several kilometers to Winneba. The nearest health facility is about 2 hours' drive from Kwekrum.
It was a painful experience traveling on the terrible road to the hospital.
My water broke around 1 a.m. My family had to call a taxi driver from the next town to transport us to Winneba. The cost of transportation was about 50 Ghana cedis.
They speak for several other women in this community where there is no health facility. Community health-based planning services, popularly known as CHIPS compounds, were introduced as interventions for areas like these. For Kwekrum, however, one of such facilities is only half-baked and rotten away. The abandoned structure has been roofed with doors fixed, but without windows. Dorothy and Mary say even though they have their children now, the pain and anxiety could have reduced had this CHIPS compound been completed when they went into labor.
The CHIPS compound is just about 10 minutes away from my house. The pain I endured could have been less if the facility was operating. We need government's intervention.
They paid to be transported to Winneba, but for many other women in this community, affording transportation fares is a problem, so they deliver at home with all the risks associated. Every election year, come to Kwekrum appealing for votes. This time, the community is leveraging its numbers to demand the completion of this CHIPS compound. They will not allow political campaigns here in 2020.
And the wait is over. The 2019 competition has just begun. I'm talking about the National Science and Maths Quiz. And a year after the West African Senior High School missed the NSMQ trophy by a whisker, the coach of the team, Dennis Nanayeboa Isuman, says he was optimistic of taking the ultimate prize in the contest. The coach of the Adenta-based school says his confidence partly stems from his victory over the Eastern Region School St. Peter's during the regional contest last year. West Africa Senior High School missed the NSMQ trophy by just 1 point after they answered a question wrongly.
The first attempt we got to, the first time we came, got to quarterfinals. The second time I brought the Form 2s, we got to quarterfinals. And so the last year was the third time and we got to the finals. So close to the trophy.
Before you walked into the National Theatre, I mean, knowing that you stood a chance of winning the trophy, what was going through your head? What were you thinking about? When you were entering National Theatre, even before the competition,
I was really dreaming of holding up the cup with all the strength that I have in me, because I'm really confident I was going to win. Seriously. Prior to the contest, I've met Peters and I defeated him twice at the Eastern Media contest. So Peters was in a match for me.
We'll see what happens this year, and the competition is underway. Maxwell Agbagba is at the University of Ghana Business School, where the preliminary contests have started for this year's national competition. Maxwell, fill us in on the excitement that we're missing.
Well, the first contest just ended here at the University of Ghana Business School. Chemu Senior High School won the competition with 53 points. EPC Malco Girls had 23. St. Mary's Boys Lulubi had 22 points. But that was expected because during the regional qualifying competition, Chemu scored 43 points. St. Mary's Boys Lulubi scored 34, and Malco Girls had 28 points. Also, during the Greater Accra Regional Championship, Chemu Senior High School actually scored 51 points. Presecly gone in that competition sometime last month. They followed second with 36 points. So really, Chemu Senior High School came in as the favorites, and they proved the pundits, right.
And Apam Senior High School also took an early lead in their contest against Winneba SHS and Dabuasi Senior High. It means that Apam has sealed its place into the 1/8 stage of the competition. What are people talking about on social media, Maps?
People are talking about NSMQ on Joy, and I Rep My School says the day we've all been waiting for is finally here and all is set. And Mr. So Roy says Dr. Elsie shouldn't worry about her bag at all. It's safe this time around. Hashtag NSMQ on Joy. And George says, as the hashtag NSMQ 2019 day start today, dear, shun everything, then watch Ghana made be a guy. Hashtag NSMQ on Joy. And follow that hashtag NSMQ on Joy for all the exciting things.
And it looks like you're repping at disco already. And that's it for the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. I am Emefa Apo, NSMQ on Joy. Keep following. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good afternoon.